Welcome back to Be Rich, and I have my nephew Sashwath with me. I thought we will start a new series. This is across the weekend when both of us are free. We thought we'll pick some Indian and Japanese and American stocks to discuss and give you an insight on how we would look at these stocks. We have already had two in the series. We looked at Aisha Motors and we looked at Toyota. So I thought I'll pick an Indian stock, which I call a diamond needle because it's highly overvalued. These are not buy or sell recommendations. We are not SEBI registered advisors. You better contact an SEBI registered advisor or an investor before making a decision. These are generally what I perceive of the market and what I see in Asian Paints. What are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of Asian Paints? And based on this, you can decide to take a call. Like Sashwath said, and it's off fire, he said that 9th November is the day when the results of Asian Paints are coming if you are a quarter to quarter specialist. I am not a quarter to quarter specialist. I tend to look at things with an aspect of eternity, as Spinoza the philosopher said, and I don't think this quarter result will matter much to me. The Let me give you what I know about Asian Paints. Asian Paints is one of the most organized and most ruthlessly efficient paint companies in India. It is one a homegrown brand, very successful. Had five or six families together which started the paint. Like the Amul girl, they have Gattu, the boy who does the painter. He's a very famous, iconic image. I'll ask them to put it across if they can find something. They have captured all segments of the market. The paint market is extremely difficult
One
because it's
addition to
not.
that, R.K. Lakshman was the one who made Gattu.
Yeah, R.K. Lakshman made Gattu. And the idea of being a dominant player in paint is very difficult because large portions of the market are unorganized sectors. It's very difficult to be an organized player in paint and to maintain such a huge market share. It has a market share of 50% plus. So it's a remarkable company. And this it has done at a time when its main input product is a derivative of crude oil and crude prices have been all over the place. In spite of that, Asian Paints has controlled this market. It has differentiated itself and it's forced companies like Akzo Nobel, which is part of British Paints and ACI, to think of exiting this market. It's a highly competitive place. So let's look at Asian Paints.
But before that, I wanted to know more about because when I read up an article on Asian paints, it said that it has ties to the Quit India movement when there was a temporary ban on paint imports, which is when Asian paints came into play. So I wanted to know
Yes,
what the exact history about that was, if you can tell me.
what I recall is we were going Swadeshi at that time. The call was to go Swadeshi.
Ah,
So there was no official ban on the import of British paints.
okay.
What Gandhi wanted was an Indian substitute. So it was the flavor of the season that a homegrown paint company could grow. The other such company is, of course, Cipla, which is also rooted in our Indian independence movement.
Yeah.
The Asian Paints later what happened is fell into hands of five or six promoters, families
Okay.
who were controlling this company. There was one family called the Dhani, I think DHANI, which was running this for a long time and they were forced out about a decade back. So they sold their stake and moved out, and the other families were controlling it. Now another family also has quit, was forced to resign, and another set of promoters came in, which was also not taken well by the existing promoter. There were charges of nepotism at that the promoter did something shady. That is, known party transactions were there. Having said this, I am not making any accusations. These are all surfaced at the press at that time. It's a stock which I have not looked at because it's very expensive, and I don't look at expensive stocks.
Yeah.
There is a illicit investments of one company called Illicit, which is also a part of this group, where one of the promoters of the company has part of the stakes in that company and made it public. And by selling 40, 50 shares a day, the stock has moved from 3 to 3 lakhs.
Okay.
All I said yesterday is it that there is more than what meets the eye. One has to be extremely careful. So the interplay in family relationships within the promoter group has not been very strong. There have been violent movements in that family group. So far, it has not affected the governance of the business. But for me, if I were looking at the stock, that would be a negative. But
Okay.
I didn't pass my filter in the first. It's a great company, great market share. It's got a great marketing wing. It's got great production. And I also think the price of oil has peaked. It's not going to go to 100, $200 unless there's a nuclear war in Middle East.
Yeah.
Then it can go past 100. If Israel bombs the Iranian oil fields, then it can spark. But two wars in the Middle East has not taken oil to $90. Ukraine and Russia are fighting a war,
Yes.
and Israel and the Middle East are at war. Still, oil is in the late 60s. So I think peak oil price is done. Basically, because of fracking and America becoming self sufficient in oil price. That is the big advantage for this company. Now you
Right.
can take a look at the numbers.
Yes, let's take a look at the numbers then. So, in the past 5 years, this company has traded at a PE of 9800. In 2021, its price went up 117 times earnings. Today, it's trading at a more modest, shall we say, of 55 times earnings. So, this is the price to earnings trajectory of the company. And if you look at the company, the price hasn't moved very much from 2021 all the way to 2024. And if you had averaged, that is, if you dollar cost averaged the stock, you would have probably made very minimal returns over the past, let's say, 4 years. So, however, let's move on to the balance sheet of the company and see how the fundamentals look. The balance sheet, of course, is very strong. It has 18,000 crores in reserves, 18,600 crores to be specific in reserves, and it has borrowings of 2,474 crores. So they have a lot of surplus compared to what their borrowings are. Secondly, if you look at their profit margins, their operating profit margins are at a comfortable 21%. And their compounded profit growth over the past 10 years has been 16%. And over the past 5 years has been 21%. Of course, COVID has a role to play in the data which we see from the past 5 years. But their compounded profit growth over the past 10 years has been 16%. And over the past 3 years, their stock price has compounded by minus 2%. So, this I think is a classic case study of a wonderful company that is too expensive to even touch. And I think it becomes a case study for us to see why Howard Marks' statement of no company is a great company at all prices. And in the flip side, every asset can be a good asset at some price. So when we look at these contrasting principles, I think we can see why Asian Paints is a good case study to understand that. So, what do you think about Asian Paints as an investment for an investor who had invested, let's say, over the past 10 years in this company?
In last 10 years, the market has gone up three times
Yes.
from 8,000 to 24,000.
From 2014 till
20.
2024, the market has gone up by, depending on where you pick, it has gone up by anywhere between 240% to 300%.
So I'm talking 300%. How much has the stock gone up by?
So if you had purchased Asian Paint somewhere in 2014, it's gone up by 248%.
So the index would have comprehensively beaten it.
Yeah, but it depends because if you had bought it in early 2014, close to end of 2013, you would have made 498% on this company.
No, that then even then the in 2013, if I had bought the index, it would have been at 5,600, 5,900. I would have made five times the money.
Right.
What I'm saying is, and the last 3 years, how much has the Nifty returned?
So if you take Nifty's trajectory from November of 2021
Yeah,
till now, it's returned about 50%.
in the last 3 years.
Yeah, last 3 years.
Even then, you would have. The index has really beaten this at all times.
Yes.
And you have been seeing the
So
last.
over the same period, Asian Paints has gone down by 10%.
That's what I'm saying, 50% and down 10%.
Yes.
Now, for me to justify these kind of high valuations, the company has to compound at a rate of 25 to 30% a year.
25 to 30%. Okay.
If it is 26%, its EPS is doubling every 3 years.
Yeah.
That means if I'm paying 50 per PE
Mm.
and if EPS is compounding at 26%, three
Okay.
years later the EPS will double.
Yeah.
So I'm paying 25 times earnings on a 3-year period,
Yeah.
right? Even then, that is, in my book, too costly.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Asian Paints cannot double its EPS in 3 years for two reasons. For three reasons. One, the market just got more competitive
Okay.
in the sense that Birla and JSW have gotten serious.
Yeah.
And there is an upstart called Indigo Paints, which is dumping paints.
Yes, we took a look at Indigo a few years back.
So it's dumping at 2%, 3% margin. They are snipping. There is going to be Pidlite, which is talking of coming into the paint segment. From adhesives, they want to come into paints. All these three players have get a great strength in the same distribution channel. Aditya Birla is a great cement distribution channel, so they can distribute paint in the same channel.
Yeah.
Construction. And the JSW sells steel, they can sell paint.
So
Pidlite sells.
just to add some context here, the kind of companies you're talking about, like Pidilite, for example, they have 8,664 crores in reserves and only borrowings of 300 crores. If they wanted to start a price war, they can definitely give a good
all these guys
competition.
can all these guys can start a price war.
Yeah.
And now there's a company called Akzo Nobel, which is British Paints,
Okay.
which has put up its product for sale at 50% premium to market price. It has 16% of India's paint market.
Okay.
Either JSW or Birla lay their hands on it, they are going to be at 20% market straight away.
Got it. Yeah.
So there is going to be increased competition for Asian paints. Point number one.
Okay.
Point number two, the Indian, and he himself said it, the CEO of Asian Paints said it, and then he was forced to retract it. He said that India does not feel like growing at 8%. He said that.
Can you explain what he meant by that? Because I'm confused.
He says everybody is saying GDP is growing, but
Yes.
the current market environment, it does not feel like it's growing.
Okay.
So he is saying growth is not happening. So you have low growth and you have high valuations and you have competition pouring in,
Yeah.
and which can supply like people like cannon fodder. It can burn money to gain
Yes.
market share,
Yes.
and you have to sacrifice margins.
So then my question to you is, for example, in the mobile business, there are ways in which you can differentiate your product and try to build a moat, like how Apple has built an ecosystem, which other competitors are trying to break. In paint, I am not able to figure out what a moat can be. What can a moat look like in the paint business, according to you?
See, I do not know because it's a plain commodity product.
Exactly.
What can be is distribution and finance cost.
Of course.
See, iPhone has its own user interface,
Yes.
and Nokia didn't take a look at it. Nokia died like a dead smoke. Google has 80% of the market, but Google doesn't have the software, it has an open source software.
Yes, Android. Yeah.
Android. And Apple's main money is coming from iTunes and Apple Music.
Yes.
And the AirPods are a separate billion-dollar company by itself.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
So what it means is that you don't have other products to sell. What other products does Asian Paints have? It had 10 years and lot of cash.
Yeah.
That's where the discontent between the family promoters came. You should have bought cement before Adani bought cement. The real estate industry in India is hurting.
Yes.
If the real estate does not grow, with high interest rates, real estate is not growing. Why will I buy Asian Paints? If you are a promoter, why will you buy Asian Paints? If it is not cheap, you will not buy it.
So then my question to you is this. So we've looked at it from an investor perspective. We did this exercise with Aisha Motors, and I asked you a question about this one, which is this is another company which is flush with thousands of crores of cash at their disposal. Their borrowings are quite low. My question to you is today, if you had the ear of the CEO of Asian Paints, what would you advise him to do with his money?
Because I am not a specialist in commodities.
Okay.
They bought Berger Paints international business and they have grown international. I will ask him to expand into Africa
Yeah.
and Europe and go geographical. Asian Paints is not a global paint company.
When it could be.
It could have been. I think it's over
Okay.
because your home turf will be under attack.
You'll
Airtel
need the
went to
cash for
Africa.
this.
Yes, Airtel went to Africa before Reliance came.
Yeah. Okay.
Airtel still has the paying customers.
Yes. So,
So I do not know what you will have. Just because Jio is free, I'm not going to give my Airtel SIM card and take a
geosim.
Jio SIM card.
Yes. So in behavioral economics, there's a term for this, which is status quo bias. humans don't like to move from the status quo.
Endowment effect.
Yes. Endowment effect,
So
status quo effect. Yeah.
now I do not know whether the paint in my room is made of Asian paints. I don't care.
But you know whether your phone is an iPhone or a Samsung.
Exactly.
Okay. I don't know about the viewers, but I personally learned a lot from this discussion. And I hope, I mean, before we end this video, I'd like to sum up the key points we talked about in this video. One, Asian Paints has a burgeoning business in the paint market, and they are dominant as of now in the industry. Although there are competitive pressures in the future coming from all directions, and it's going to be left to see whether Asian Paints will be able to cope up with that and whether they are going to get into price wars with other players looking to expand into paint with deep pockets. And that being said, the valuation still today stands too overvalued for a value investor like me or my uncle to take a look at it. And that's about it.
And I have a couple of things to add.
Sure.
One, we have a Substack. The Substack will be updated from the 7th of November regularly. Sashwath was settling down in the university. So you can expect the first new edition on 7th and then weekly thereafter. On 2nd, we hope that we will be able to continue this podcast every week where we give you insight into Indian, American, Japanese or any stocks. And finally, we have a Hindi channel, Paisa Boltha Hai. For those who know people who know only Hindi, please send the video from the channel to their friends and relatives and have them take a look. It will be of a great help to us. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich. I request you to like this video if you liked it, subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich.
Thank you. Hey guys, that my uncles VinodSrinivasan, Anand Srinivasan and I have rolled out our Substack, which is basically a blog / newsletter where we're going to post our original research onto it. And we've analyzed macroeconomic trends. And a lot of you know my uncle Anand Srinivasan and I regularly write for The Hindu. And these articles are also going to be made available for you in the Substack. The link is moatinvesting.substack.com. You'll find it in the description and in the video right now. We hope you go check it out. We've put a lot of time and effort into it. And please give us comments and feedback on what you read. Thank you.
It's a great privilege and honor that so many of you in thousands have subscribed to my channel and have supported me. I have written 2 books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.